Hello! I'm glad that you've joined us today. Today starts a new series on the discussion of faith over fear. There are several stories from the book of Mark that I want to look at and evaluate kind of how the gospel tells us that we really need to be intentional about moving out of the realm of fear and into the realm of faith. And no one does this better than the evangelist Mark, who tells us all of these incidences, these stories where Jesus confronts fear head on, and he just shows us that we don't need to live in fear as Christians, but if we belong to Christ, what we recognize is that our Maker is in control. And even when things are difficult, our Maker is in control, and he's going to turn things to our benefit. So the first story I wanted to look at comes from the Gospel of Mark, and the 4th chapter in the 35th verse. Let's go ahead and just read that together. On that same day, when evening had come, he said to them, "Let us cross over to the other side." Now when they had left the multitude, they took him along in the boat as he was, and the other little boats were also with him. And a great wind storm arose, and the waves beat into the boat, so that it was already filling. But he was in the stern, asleep on the pillow. And they awoke him, and said to him, "Teacher, do you not care that we are perishing?" Then he arose and rebuked the wind, and said to the sea, "Peace, be still." And the wind ceased, and there was a great calm. But he said to them, "Why are you so fearful? How is it that you have found no faith?" And they feared exceedingly, and said to one another, "Who can this be, that even the wind and the sea obey him?" This is a famous story. Most everyone that has been in the church for any length of time knows the story of Jesus calming the storm. And it's just such a fun story to read because it just puts you right into the action. Mark is just well known for keeping you focused on the action and excited about what's coming. But it puts you into a situation where there is great cause for fear. I wanted to look at a few different things. In this story, what we find first of all is that Jesus is the one that suggests that they go into the boat. Jesus says, "Let us cross over to the other side." So oftentimes when bad things happen, we wonder where God is, and we dare not ask sometimes the obvious question, which is, "God, did you put me here on purpose? Did you put me into this scary situation on purpose?" And I think the answer that we see from the Bible here is yes. Jesus, being God, and of course his divinity being on display in this story, shows us that he knows there's a storm coming. He is quite aware that he's putting them into a dangerous situation because he wants to use the pointedness of that fear to teach. And so Jesus pulls the apostles into the boat. They go across the way, and they give him the favored spot at the front, so he's laying on the cushion and he takes a nap. Knowing a storm's coming, Jesus takes a nap. And all of a sudden, the apostles find themselves, the disciples are in the boat with waves pouring over the edge, and they are terrified. And they are doing everything they can. They finally wake up Jesus and say, "Teacher, do you even care? Do you even care that we are perishing?" I think this is the second thing I want to look at. In the midst of our struggles and in the midst of our fear, do we turn to Jesus? And do we ask him, "Do you even care?" And we know the answer from the Bible. 1 Peter tells us, cast all your anxiety on him because he cares for you. So we trust Jesus, but we need to always remind ourselves at moments that are dangerous, fearful, where we are scared, we begin to doubt, that we turn the right direction. The best thing the disciples did in this situation is they awoke Jesus. They didn't continue to bail the water out in their own strength. They didn't continue to work things. They didn't say, "Don't bother Jesus. He's not a fisherman. He doesn't understand these things." They went to the teacher and said, "Do you care?" And what happens when we arouse God on our side? Jesus rose up and rebuked the wind. I would love to know what that looks like for Jesus to rebuke the wind. Quiet you. But he says it in a sweet way. "Peace, be still." See, Jesus is not just stopping the wind. He's actually bringing peace. The Prince of Peace is bringing peace to the waters and peace to the hearts of the disciples. Then he looks at the disciples and he asks the question, "Why are you so fearful? Why are you so fearful?" Whatever is going on in your life, things that are out of your control, Jesus is asking today, why are you so fearful? Do you not have faith? How is it that you have no faith? And what's interesting about this story is when people come into touch, when they get to see on display, they see on display the power of Jesus, they get more fearful. All of a sudden, the disciples are no longer afraid of the water. They're afraid of who this Jesus is. In fact, in the realm of fear, they're living in anxiety, and they're afraid that they're going to drown. They're afraid that they're going to die. But in the realm of faith, Jesus brings rest to the waters, peace to the hearts, and calm. And it turns our fear of death from assured destruction into a prayerful contemplation where the disciples ask the all-important question, who can this be? Who is this great God that we serve? Who can this be that even the wind and the sea obey him? Even the wind and the sea obey him, but what about the hearts of man? As you go on today, I would hope that you would look around, and where you see fear, be an instrument of peace. And if there's fear in your own heart, turn it over to Christ, because he cares for you. And no longer live in doubt. Recognize that the circumstances you're in might be the very intent of God to help teach you, to help you recognize who God is, that he could overcome the great challenges in your life. And so I hope that blesses you. I hope you have a great day. Take care.